The views expressed in this presentation are expressly those of the presenter and do not reflect the official policy or position of the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, the United States Air Force, Department of Defense, or United States government. You're listening to Hypercast. We're here to educate, motivate, inspire, and entertain.
With the holiday break approaching, it is the perfect time to unwind and relax, but it's also the perfect time to sharpen skills before the next semester. FTP and POC will host a winter break FTP prep session. Dates have not yet been finalized. However, if you are entering your FTP semester and are interested in participating, please fill out the Google form through Slack. For any questions, please contact Cadet Canales. Calling all current AS300 and AS400 cadets. Available now is an ODT opportunity for TDY to one of the Air Force Global Strike Command's duty locations. The dates will be from June 2nd through the 15th, 2024, and July 7th through the 20th, 2024. All inputs are due by close of business on February 29th, 2024 for Det Commander approval. Please view the sign-up sheet in the General Announcements channel in our Slack. So what is this TDY? The Air Force Global Strike Command, AFGSC, summer program is an opportunity for soon-to-be Striker second lieutenants to spend 2 weeks at one of the Air Force's major commands. Through this program, cadets will gain a better understanding of the AFGSC's mission through a 3-week immersion into the command while experiencing a basic knowledge of Air Force base operations. It will additionally provide a basic understanding of why U.S. nuclear capabilities are necessary for Americans, our allies, and partner security. Eligibility requirements include being a U.S. citizen and an AS300 or 400 if on a 5-year program, been assigned to 11X, pilot, 12X, CISO, 13N, nuclear ops, 21M, missile maintenance, or 31P, security forces, or a support such as finance, personnel, logistics, etc. AFSC. Note: we understand that some AS300s may not have received their AFSC by the nomination deadline. Regions should nominate cadets competing for one of the listed AFSCs. If a nominated cadet does not receive an eligible AFSC and still wants to attend, regions will contact DOT for coordination with AFGSC or provide a replacement with a cadet who is eligible. Additionally, you must have an adjudicated secret clearance by the cutoff time, term and cumulative GPA of 3.0 or higher. For more information, please visit Canvas or contact Cadet Dudek. Thank you.
All right. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening out there, folks at Det 004 Southwest Region all across ROTC. I am Captain Christian Hype Man Sledge, and we have the pleasure today of interviewing our new Southwest Region Commander. All right, that's Col Grimm, who's out there from Texas. Actually, he just finished coming through and visiting Det 4 and getting the spin up of how we operate ourselves, Rebel Nation. All right. So I asked if we could, conduct an interview, just asked him some his perspectives on certain things. And we're going to get that today. We're going to answer a lot of Det 4's questions that they've had and some of my questions because I've had them too. All right. So without sir, I just want to say thank you for just spending some time with us. We know you're a busy person. We know you got big colonel things to do. And again, we really appreciate you spending some time hanging with the cadet wing and answering some of the questions that they have today.
I'm excited to be here. Obviously earlier today, got to visit the detachment. Got to see where you guys live and where you conduct the mission day in and day out. Got to attend, obviously your staff meeting, the cadet staff meeting. The question and answer with the cadets. I had an absolute blast. You guys got a great detachment for sure.
Yeah, they're not so bad, right? They're not so. I definitely enjoy working with them, and I'm glad that you had a good time out there. We definitely make do with what we have and what we are offered, and all the cool things. So Without further ado, we'll get started right into it. So, again, we already talked about this earlier. Folks have read your bio and everything of that nature. Everybody can read a bio. So, given that information, I want to just kind of kick it off with you, sir, and see what are the most important things that you would want us to know out of your bio, if they are there. So, what would you say are the most important things that we would want to know about you?
Oh, a great question. Obviously, looking at the bio, the bio is just a bio.
Right.
I mean, I guess the nice part about it is it's very concise about all the different places that I've been stationed, which is obviously been fantastic for me and for my family. We've been very fortunate to have been stationed all over the world. We've been stationed in Germany, in Italy, Japan, Hawaii, all over the states, to include here in Las Vegas. We were stationed here a number of years ago. That opportunity to really get to see the world. People talk about joining the military, because I want to see the world. The Air Force has given that to myself and to my family. My two oldest girls, they both graduated from Kadena High School in Okinawa, Japan. And then another one graduated in Cheyenne, Wyoming at F.E. Warren Air Force Base. Yeah. And our youngest, she graduated in San Diego when we were stationed at San Diego State University. Yeah. So, just a great opportunity to travel the world, see the world, experience different cultures, that type of stuff. And, speaking of my kids, I always find it fascinating. You can ask them, so where are you from? And they can't answer it.
Right.
They're like, well, what do you mean? Like, where was I born? Or where did I graduate high school?
That is true.
It's true.
Yeah. Yeah. So they can never answer that question. But that's one of the neat things about being in the military is you get the opportunity to experience, all these different places to go live and explore and have fun with.
Yeah. So, and that makes sense. I mean, to me, what I'm extracting from that is Colonel Grimm, the family man. And that's what I'm kind of extracting out of it. And I got 5 kids, and that's kind of how I would sum it up as well, right? We're defined by that at all times. It's crazy how that works.
Yeah, and I think that's important also. So, you also hear that the military lifestyle can be very hard on a family, which that's a very true statement. But it can work. I met my wife in college. We got married in college, and we're coming up on 31 years that we've been married. So
awesome! Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks. And like I mentioned, we have four kids, all girls, and at the end of the day, when it's time to hang the uniform up, you want your family to be there with you. So while the military lifestyle can be hard, there's the separations, for TDYs and deployments. There's the long duty hours. I think it's important to include the family in everything that's happening, within your military career, so they can feel connected to it. They can feel like they're part of it. That they can have a say in what's happening with your career also, and hopefully that will help them feel more in tune with what's happening within the relationships, within the military, and hopefully you can retain everybody over the long term. Because at the end of the day, if you're not retaining the families and the family members, the service member's not going to stay either, right? And they're definitely not going to be dedicated to taking care of the mission, taking care of each other. So it's really important to include the families, take care of the families, and obviously as a service member, to have that open communication, to talk about the expectations, about the moves, about the deployments, about the temporary duties that are going to happen, about the duty hours, so they understand what's happening from the get-go.
Yeah, absolutely. So even though I'm literally outbound and PCSing to Nellis, low cost, right? So I still have to talk to my significant other, I still have to talk to you, Senya, and just map out, okay, cool, what are the hours, or where am I going? What am I going to be doing? What part does she have to play in it? She's still a part of it. So a lot of people don't realize, it's a whole integrating process. They are a part of the process. So the more they're in tune with it, the more they are with you when you go to do, especially during the hard times when you need that support for the hard times. And I'm glad that, you brought that up, because a lot of people they forget that. They're just like, oh, I gotta go, I gotta deploy, I gotta go. Or, they're just not integrated into just a PCSing process. They're just not integrated, and they should be. Significant others should be. So I'm glad that you brought that up. I really appreciate that. And hopefully these youngsters understand that, when they, get older and they turn 50 years old and they realize, oh, I can't do this alone, and they're finally ready to do whatever they do. They realize, okay, I got to integrate them into their process. They are part of the family as well. So they need to.
Absolutely. Hey, there's nothing wrong with being over 50 years old.
There's nothing wrong with that.
I'm just throwing that out there.
Colonel, what I'm trying to get at is I don't want them getting married at 20. That's what I'm trying to get at. Sit your butt down somewhere and reflect on your life and work on yourself. Because, sometimes, folks, oh, we're going to go get married. How old are you? No, sit down. Sit down, right? And enjoy. Right. Enjoy everything that you can do. And that's what I'm trying to get at. Like, I tell my kids that all the time. I was like, when y'all turn 50 and you finally realize you're ready to get married and all this, then you can talk to me, right? Go experience life. Absolutely. Okay. So that's what I was getting at. Okay. So shifting gears, sir, we got Colonel Grimm, the family man, and I'm cool with that. And I think everybody else is down with that as well. So shifting gears, I think you already answered this before earlier. I thought I heard this, but, correct me if I'm wrong. It was asked, what are the top 3 most important goals you would expect from the cadre or the cadets to get out of Air Force ROTC from your perspective?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's something that we need to continue to ask ourselves as we evolve as an ROTC enterprise, as an Air Force, as a military, I should say Department of the Air Force, as a military. As we move forward to, again, deterring whatever that next conflict may be. And, if there is another conflict, that we're well prepared for that. So we want to ensure that we're producing the absolute best second lieutenants that we can produce. I think we owe that to the American society. I think that's what our country expects of us, is to be the best. And I also think we owe that to our airmen and to our guardians to produce the absolute best second lieutenants that we can produce. So we need to ensure that we understand exactly what we value as the Department of the Air Force, and then really work to train our cadets to become, again, the best second lieutenants they can be, but giving them those leadership opportunities to develop their leadership, and they got to do that multiple times, right? You got to have reps, you got to have repetition in leadership positions, so you can learn about yourself, you can learn where your strengths are, where your weaknesses are, and then if you have weaknesses, how do you work on those weaknesses to overcome them? Or if you can't overcome them, at least you've identified them, so I can use other resources that are available to me, my other teammates, in order to overcome those weaknesses, so we can still move forward and take care of whatever mission that we need to take care of. We got to give our cadets the opportunity to learn what type of team members they are and what type of team builders they are, and you have to do that through repetition, and give them those opportunities to learn about themselves, to practice, to make mistakes and learn from those mistakes, and again, become the best leader that they can be. And we really got to make sure that we ingrain those warfighting ethos into them also. Again, we're developing those warriors, the second lieutenants that are going to go out there and lead our airmen and lead our guardians in deterring conflict, and again, if deterrence fails, to go out there and win and win decisively. So again, we really got to make sure that we're putting that effort in to make sure that we understand what we really value and get that ingrained into our cadets as we build them into second lieutenants. And I think, you mentioned the cadre. I think we also need to ensure that we're doing everything to develop our cadre also, so that they have all the tools that they need in order to go out there and really mentor and coach and lead their cadets as they go through the cadet life cycle, and really encourage the cadets to put themselves out there as again, as they try to learn about themselves to be the best leader that they can be. So we really got to take the time to develop our cadre at the same time, and spend some time and effort in that. And then I also talked about earlier today. We need to look at some process improvement areas also. So there's a lot of administrative action that goes into building a second lieutenant. And I think we really need to take a hard look at that and streamline it where we can in order to become more efficient and more effective. And in turn, hopefully that gives time back to the cadre to spend even more time with their cadets. When I look back at my time in ROTC, yes, I know it was a minute ago. I started ROTC 32 and a half years ago, I think. And the two most memorable things out of ROTC for me was my fellow cadets and my cadre, right? If you ask me, okay, what was the lesson blocks that you were taught in your academic class, and what exactly did you do in lead lab every week? I'm like, I know we did leadership stuff. I know we did team building stuff. Organizational structure and critical thinking and planning. I'm sure we did all that stuff. But can I tell you all the specifics? Absolutely not. Can I tell you the names of every single one of my cadre members from 32 and a half years ago? Absolutely, I can. Gotcha. That's the type of impact that they had. So we got to make sure that the cadre have all the tools that they need, and that the cadets have the type of experiences that they need, again, in order to build their leadership capabilities, but also so they can make some really sound decisions on what type of career field that they're going to go chase. Right. So, we need to expose our cadets to active duty bases, to both Space Force bases and Air Force bases. We need to expose them to all the different career fields that are out there. And the more experiences that we can give them during their time in ROTC, the more they can make an educated decision on what AFSCs that they want to list, number 1 to N, as they determine, what they want to go do once they join us out on active duty. So really trying to give them that experience is really important also. So lots of words to say, again, really ensuring that, we're developing the cadets into the type of officers that we expect. Providing the cadre with the type of development that they need so they can be successful in accomplishing their missions, and then streamlining some of our processes to give more time back to the cadre to spend with cadets.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. So at least that concept and that frame of mind, as you know, and as a former commander at Det 075, we kind of talked about it earlier, you being in the trenches. Sometimes you got to get in the trenches to knock some of this admin stuff out. If a cadet just knew what we had to push in order to graduate one person, to put gold bars on one, and then multiply that times whatever, and there you have the workload. But I know that as a fact that you as a commander had to get into the trenches as well to get in, knock some of that administrative action in order to lower the footprint for the cadre. That's probably what the cadre would want the most. If in an ideal world, if somebody could just do all the admin so I can get in there with the cadet wing and really get in there in the thick of it. That's what we signed up for. But we realize that the admin comes with it too. But if we can just lower it a little bit to the point where we can just spend more time in that cadet wing, and tell them how the theory, can actually apply, then we can actually we'll feel like we've done a better job. Because, just click around and do paperwork and things of that nature. Sometimes, at least personally, I feel like, man, I don't know if I'm in the, I could be in the thick of it. Getting in there, getting my hands dirty and teaching and mentoring. And that's not how you do that. That's not the way to think. So, but I don't spend a lot of time doing that as much as I would want. I get it in there, but I don't get it in there as much as I would really like to. I think every cadre member would probably wish in a perfect
Yeah.
world,
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I had no, I'm an ROTC product, right? I
Right.
came out of ROTC, and
Mhm.
when I went to go to the detachment to be the detachment commander at San Diego State, I had no idea how much administrative work there was in
Mhm.
building a second lieutenant. So I hear you. Now, will the administrative stuff go away for cadre? Absolutely not. It's still going to be
No.
there.
Right. Right.
The question becomes, how efficient and effective can we make it? So
Right.
we can get that time back to you to be with the cadets.
Yeah, exactly. And I know that's a goal of yours as well, as we
Yeah.
previously talked about. But actually using your command as a segue to the next question, we already know, like I mentioned before, Det 075 out there in San Diego. You're the det commander out there, and then you finished that term, and then you went back to security forces. So how did you get the opportunity to come back as a region commander, and what powered your your like motivation to do so? Were you excited to get that opportunity again? Was it like, I'm not sure? Or what was your perspective on getting that phone call, that email saying, hey, you have an opportunity to come back as a region commander after you did a det commander
Yeah.
spiel? How did you feel about that?
Yeah, no, that's awesome. So one, I loved being a detachment commander. I mean, I absolutely loved it. One of my favorite assignments, that opportunity to hopefully have that positive impact on these young Americans that are just starting this journey, exploring the Air Force and Space Force, and to be able to go with them through the journey on into active duty, and again, hopefully have that positive impact with them. I mean, I absolutely loved it. Obviously, it's service before self. So, wherever the Air Force needed me, I was willing to go, and I've always been willing to go. But I also made it known that if there was an opportunity to work anywhere in the ROTC enterprise, that I would be very, very happy to do that. Because I really, really enjoy, again, being around cadets, being around, again, young Americans that are willing to serve. I love their energy, their excitement, their curiosity. I mean, I love all that. So it's just fantastic. So I let it be known that I'll be very happy to take any position within ROTC. So my time at San Diego State came to an end. Like you said, I went back to the career field. I had heard a little bit of rumblings that that there might be an opportunity for to be looked at for region command. So when I heard those rumblings, again, I made it be known I'm absolutely 1,000% interested if that opportunity should present itself. So then I get a phone call one day and it's like, hey, so what do you think about the Southwest? Yes. Wait, I didn't finish what I was going to say. I don't care. Yes. Yeah, I'm in. And that's not a knock on security forces. I mean, I love security forces. I'm a career security
Right.
forces officer.
Yep.
But the opportunity to come back to ROTC, and this will be my last assignment also. So I'll retire at the end of this. So the opportunity to finish up in ROTC, and again, hopefully the opportunity to have a positive impact on the enterprise, on our 36 detachments, on all the cadets and cadre that are actually out there doing the mission. I was super stoked, and I jumped at the opportunity when it was offered. So, you get the opportunity to accept or decline the assignment, and I couldn't hit accept fast enough. So, absolutely.
Okay. So I was telling Major Castillo this too, because my intent was, I was hoping I would be able to retire at ROTC, but we knew when Colonel Williams hired me that it's like, that might be a little sketch, just because of timeline. But then I was like, hey, I understand. I'm ready to go now. Right. This is what I want to do. But I mentioned to Major Castillo when he was here a couple weeks ago that, because he's asking me how I liked it. And I was like, it's been very therapeutic to me. I don't know if anybody has described that at ROTC as a very therapeutic process. But what I mean by that is being able to, cadets come into your office all the time because you're approachable, you're that guy or that gal, and they need that mentorship and that help, but not just military stuff, but they're talking about life stuff. So we're able to sit them down and have you had this experience before? I'm like, yeah, you think? Yes, I have. That was buried like 15 years ago, but let me tell you about what, Staff Sergeant Sledge did. Like, let me tell you why that's not a good idea. And I've actually gotten to talk to him and actually, like, believe it or not, like, unblocked some chakras that were blocked in my life because I forgotten, or I buried it, or I didn't want to talk about it. And now just having that experience, I'm able to turn it around into something positive and give it to a cadet to prevent them from making the same mistake or giving them a portal gun, right? If I can warp you from here to here and you don't have to go through this, oh man, I've done my job. I've done my job. So, and I often ask myself, at least back then, why am I going through this? Why am I having this experience? To what, to what end is having this experience? And as I've gotten to talk to these cadets over the past 3 years, I realized that that's the answer. I was supposed to have that experience because I made it, right? It burned. It was uncomfortably hot going through those ordeals, but I made it out unscorched, right? But I was able to go back to him and say, that's why I had that experience. I was able to have that experience because I'm supposed to tell you about it. I'm supposed to tell you how to prevent it. Here's my portal gun. Let's get you from World 1. I'm going to use my Mario Brothers reference, from World 1 to World 4, if I can skip it. So I'm glad that, I mean, it's been therapeutic to me, and that's what drives me every day, honestly. It really does.
Absolutely.
So, okay, so with that, again, another segue. Cadets come in all the time. They've got their issues, and some of that is self-induced. So I'm going to ask you, from a commander's perspective, or a region commander's perspective, what are some of the most frustrating or challenging adversities that you had to face in ROTC, whether as a cadet or as a cadre member? And how did you handle those situations that didn't quite have the perfect solution to it?
It's a great question. No matter what job you're in or where you're at in life, you're most likely going to face some type of adversity, right? In ROTC as a detachment commander, not having all the resources that you would like to have. You want to take cadets, to different bases, but you don't have the money to get them there. And, you have these just different opportunities that you want them to be part of. And that can be, it can be frustrating when you don't have all those different resources. But you got to work through that stuff and make it as meaningful as possible. When folks get on active duty, they'll hear a lot. I don't have enough manpower and I don't have enough money. Okay, well, there's some planning factors for you there. So now you don't have enough manpower, you don't have enough money. So what now? Right. So it doesn't mean that you're going to stop, moving forward and trying to accomplish whatever your mission is. And, obviously as a leader, it doesn't mean that you stop advocating to get more money or manpower or whatever it may be. But you still got to work through the problem, right? It's a planning factor, right? So how do I continue to work through the problem and make a difference, right? So, trying to expose cadets to rated career fields. Right. So in San Diego, we don't have any Air Force bases that are close by. But we would have Air Force aircraft that would come into the Navy bases all the time to do different stuff. Right. So, one time, we had a squadron of, it wasn't a full squadron. It was, I don't know, maybe it was a 4-ship or something, whatever it was, of F-22s that were coming in. Right.
Nice.
So we find, absolutely. So we find out about it. And so we reach out to the owning unit. It's like, hey, we're down here in San Diego. We got cadets. Any chance that your pilots and maintainers, would let us come over and, kick the tires? I don't know if they'd actually let us kick the tires, but, come over there and check out the aircraft and, talk to maintainers, talk to the pilots, that type of stuff. And they were like, heck yeah, absolutely. All right. So we were able to bring cadets out for that. We had a bunch of A-10s that came out one time.
Attack.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome.
Yep. We had 130s, C-17s, they would come out. So anytime we'd find out about that stuff, okay, we don't have the money to go to Luke Air Force Base or DM or something like that, but we got a couple of planes that are here in San Diego. Let's just jump in the van and go over there and spend some time there, right? So it becomes a planning factor. So you got to work through it, and and do the best with what you got, while you still advocate to get all the resources that you think you deserve in order to accomplish the mission. But I do promise you will never have all the resources. You just won't. You just won't. So you got to work through it. Yeah, and then there's other frustrating things. I think one of the most frustrating things is when you have a cadet that you see all the potential in the world in, and they don't see it in themselves, and that's hard, right?
Yeah, that's a hard one.
Yeah, and when you and you try to you really try to work with them to bring that potential out, to bring that confidence out, that willingness to put themselves out there, and unfortunately you get a few that you're like, man, you got so much potential, and they just won't. They don't get to that point. Yeah, absolutely. They won't get that point where they're able to take that leap of faith, if you will, and and trust us in the process that we're going to go on this journey with you, and you're going to be a great leader. You are going to be a great leader. And then someone will walk away from the program because they can't take that leap. So that's always frustrating when you see that potential, and a cadet just won't see it in themselves. But conversely, you'll have the success stories also, right? You'll have those cadets. You're like, man, look at all this potential. Man, I see it. It's right there on the surface. And then one day it clicks for them. They're like, yeah, look at them out there leading now. Holy, that's what I'm talking about. That's awesome, right? So even though you have some of those frustrating times, all the good times, definitely stomp that out, because the opportunity to see these cadets, chasing their dreams to reach their goals, that number one goal of earning the title of second lieutenant, and then that second goal of whatever career field that they end up in. So that's the cool part, watching them raise that right hand and taking the oath. That's exciting stuff.
Yeah, I agree. I think I share that with you. When you see a cadet that has so much potential, they can take us to the next level for sure. And they have it, and they just don't, like you said, they don't see it in themselves yet. They're not sure for whatever reason, lack of confidence, whatever the case may be. And I know we had this conversation earlier today when they're afraid to jump off the cliff, right? The AETC's got the backpack. The backpack works. I promise the parachute works. It does, right? Yep. You might stumble a little bit. You might pull the string and it might not pull, might not open up at first. But I promise you, if it doesn't at a certain point, the cadre going to jump out there and get you, right? Or the POC going to come out there and they're going to go find you, right? And open it up for you, so that there's learning that can be had. But like you mentioned before, they just can't jump off the cliff to have that experience and say, oh, that wasn't so bad after all, right? This is good, right? And I learned something today. But like you said, the success stories are always the money makers. I love those. Those are great when they get that aha moment and that light bulb goes off and that fire ignites, and they can do it all by themselves now. They go straight from crawling to like sprinting in a small amount of time. One of the people that are actually here, Cadet Dudek, is when she came in, she's only 15 years old, super young, super potent, but she was just quiet. She's just quiet, soft-spoken person. That's just the way it is. But I think somewhere between that time, somebody, we all realized how much potential she had. And then she came back from field training. She transformed. So a totally new person. She won't be quiet. She always got something to say. She probably won't say it now, but you know what I mean? It's been a heck of a transformation. That transformation is always money in the bank for me, to just watch them grow. She's one of the people who has transformed due to this program. And you can just see the potential there. Very proud of that individual. But there's a lot of people that across the enterprise that are going through that experience. And you're right, that's a moneymaker. That's how we've done our job. And it's always cool to see. Absolutely. So okay, so this might be one of your pet peeves. That might be one of them. But let's try and see if that's one of the things. As a commander or a region commander, what is something, and it could be comic, it could be hilarious, whatever. What is something that gets you from like 0 to 60, like instantly, that a cadet probably has done or could do? What is something that you would want us to know? Like, hey, that's the line right there.
Sure.
If you're willing to share.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. So I will. You have to understand my background, right? You know, I've been doing this for a long time. I've been in security forces for a long time. Um, there's not a lot that surprises me anymore. There just isn't. So you know, so it takes a lot for me to be like, oh, wait, what happened? You know, because I've had too many experiences of, wait, what happened? So now it's just like, okay, so that happened.
Okay.
Right. So what's next? You know,
Right.
let's work through, you know, whatever the issue is, and you know, whatever direction is that we need to get to. So so I don't know that I have any pet peeve type stuff. You know, I will tell you, you know, I think rightfully so. I think all of us are. You know, I'm really big on our core values. You know,
Right.
I think you know, if somebody wants to be an airman or a guardian, no matter, you know, on the enlisted side or on the officer side, you have to embrace our core values.
Right.
And if you're not willing to embrace our core values, then I'm not sure why you want to be part of this organization, right? Those core values are who we are. And if you're just, you know, if you're unwilling to live up to what those core values are, then you know, maybe you should find something else that you know, that you're excited about, or something else that you want to do in life.
Absolutely.
So to me, that's a big piece of, you know, maybe it's expectation wise. You know, I don't know if you could put it in the pet peeve category, but just you know, definitely expectation wise, I expect folks to, you know, to embrace those core values.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think the one thing that Colonel Young, when he sat in the chair and talked about, like, that was literally it. Like, that's the boat in which we go, right? That's the boat that which we get on and we travel through some troubled waters, right? That's what keeps us in check. Yeah. And we've had some people test that out. Oh, they found out, all right, very quickly that this is not your boat, right? Clearly, this is not your boat through some of your behaviors. We cannot. This is a tolerance that we can't absorb. So I think we all share in that. That's what gets us, you know, at least from zero. Like, there's the cool, and then we will go straight to 60 miles an hour very quickly when these things are breached, because that's what we are. That's what defines who we are. So I think that's fair. That's a fair one. So with that being said, that answers my questions. I think we're on a good time length there. We are ready to pivot to Cadet Ballesteros, who's going to be representing the cadet wing in their questions, if you don't mind, sir.
Hello, sir. So hey. I know we talked a little bit this morning and everything, but my questions are more cadet related and more things that I think could help our GMC, FTP, and as well as our POC. So I'll start off with a quick question. We all know that PSP board is coming up, and these were actually not questions that were in the email we sent out. I just was kind of thinking and bring up some new ones, especially since you said we had the green light. So I was like, okay, I'm going to have some different questions. But do you have any specific FTP advice to give to those that are going to be going up for the PSP board this upcoming February?
Right. Yeah. You know, so obviously with the PSP board that's upcoming, you know, control what you can control, right? You can control how well you do in the classroom. You can control how well you do in the gym, right? You can control, you know, how dedicated you are to, you know, the military training that the detachment is providing. So what type of cadet are you, right? So you control those things. And it's important to do the best that you can do in those areas. And then trust your cadre to take care of the rest. Now, you know, as you look at field training prep, you know, again, it's an opportunity, especially for POC cadets, to set the environment where, one, you're giving those GMC cadets, those 200s and 250s, those reps that we talked about earlier, in leadership positions, in, you know, whether it's leading a PT session, whether it's leading a group leadership problem, a GOP, you know, whether it's a staff position, whatever it may be, but giving them those reps over and over and over again, right? And then the really good, honest, professional feedback debriefs, so the cadets can learn, right? So the GMC cadets can learn from the experience. But again, I can't stress enough the importance of setting the conditions where if they don't do well, that they're not emotionally crushed in the process, right? And then afraid to put themselves out there again. And if we do that as leaders, whether we're POC leaders, whether we're cadre leaders, whatever it may be, we don't want to shut anybody down, because if we shut them down, then again, they're not going to put themselves out there, and they're not going to learn about themselves, right? And they're not going to get to the point where they can be the best leader that they can be. So I'm a firm believer in repetition. Again, you got to give those opportunities over and over and over and over again, because you're never going to culminate as the best leader, right? Again, I've been on active duty for 28 and a half years, and I would argue I still learn about leadership every single day. And I try to become the best leader that I can every single day. And I have to learn, and I have to make adjustments. And I have to understand the environments that I'm in. So giving our GMC cadets those opportunities to really, really practice their leadership skills, right? So then, obviously you've been through field training. So once you get to field training, and you're going to get evaluated on your leadership capabilities. If you've been through it multiple times, you're going to fall back on what your training was, right? So we talked about this earlier today. So as your stress level goes up, as things become more hard, they become more difficult, you're going to fall back on whatever your training is, right? So if you've had this opportunity to be in leadership positions multiple times, and you've faced hard decisions that you had to make, you've seen the successes, you've had some failures along the way also, but you've learned from those failures, and you've learned from the successes also. When you face that now at field training, okay, I can do this. I'm well prepared to do this, right? And I can go out there and execute and crush whatever type of problem they send our way, and we'll go out there and be successful as we lead the flight through again whatever problems that they put in front of us. So I think that repetition is extremely important, and allows those cadets to become comfortable being uncomfortable in leadership positions.
No, that is a great point, sir. I feel like some people are like, oh, repetition can be kind of boring, but realistically, I remember this one quote that one of my previous flight commanders would always tell me, and he became wing commander. He already graduated, like he's all good at LT, but he always said repetition is the motherhood of success, Lieutenant Ciotti. And
very nice. I like it.
So many times at every single lab, it was like, okay, we're repeating, yeah. But we're learning. And as well as what you said about controlling what you can control, there's so many things we can't control. Right. And a lot of it is in our hands. We just oftentimes forget about it or blame other things, like, oh, I had this, or oh, I had that. But realistically, we can do a lot. So I think those are great reminders for FTP cadets. So thank you, sir. Yep. So absolutely. Transitioning. Oh, sorry. I cut you off, sir.
No, I said absolutely. Yep. Absolutely.
Okay. No, yeah, definitely. Once again, thank you. And transitioning now to a different topic, I feel like when people are GMC and they're going through their 300 year, there's obviously a transition, because now they're going into the POC mindset. It's not as following. Now it's a lot of leadership. But oftentimes I find it that people go through the struggle of being a manager versus a leader, because they're like, oh, I have so many taskers to complete. I need to do this and this and that. But they often forget about the leadership portion of caring about the people underneath them is more than just sending out taskers. So do you have any advice regarding that, between the transition of becoming a GMC to a POC, and how to be an effective leader rather than just a manager?
Yeah. I say it's a great question. So one of the things that I used to ask our cadets as they were coming back from field training is, what duty position did they want to fill within the cadet wing, and what position did they think was most meaningful in their minds? All right, and obviously I have my own opinion, and of course I would share that with them also, which I'm getting ready to do with you also. But what I was always hoping from the cadets coming back from field training is that they wanted to be a flight commander. And I would argue that the flight commander position in a cadet wing is one of the most meaningful positions that you can hold, right? Some people say, it's the cadet wing commander, it's the OG, it's whatever. I would argue it's a flight commander.
Yes, sir. 100%. I fully agree with that.
Absolutely. So when I look back at my 4 years in ROTC, when I got back from field training, I got to be a flight commander, and I learned more about myself in that semester than I did any other semester by far. And I got to understand. Obviously, there's stuff that you have to manage, like you mentioned, but I got to learn about what it meant to take care of folks, right? So to get to know my flight, my flight of GMC cadets, right? And had the ability to hopefully positively affect their time in ROTC, so that they were ready to go off to field training, and hopefully set them up for success as they went off to field training, which maybe plays a small part in them, achieving that goal that they're striving for, being a second lieutenant and chasing, again, whatever career field that they happen to be chasing. But again, I learned that it was more about, simply, executing whatever the tasks of the day were, right? We're doing this in lead lab today, or we're doing this in PT, or whatever. It was way more than that, right? What's going on with each one of those cadets' lives? How are they doing in school? How are they adjusting to the college environment? Are they doing well with their academics? Do they have a social life? All that different stuff, and get to know who they are as a person, right? Because if you take that time, then you can start to shape how you best support them, right? And you can start to see their successes because you're supporting them as they're working through this difficult transition of trying to become an officer in the United States Air Force, or of course now in the Space Force. So I learned so much about myself as a flight commander, and I loved it. And I always tried to get our cadets to go towards that duty position at some point as a POC. The earlier that they can do it in their POC careers, I think the better. But you may not have enough flight commander billets for the cadets that you have. So it may come later on, or you have to work other solutions. But I think that's extremely important for the growth of cadets as they work towards again earning that commission. So I don't know if that answers the question or not, but
that's a perfect question.
But there you go.
I completely agree. I know Cadet Walbert was the same thing. He's like, yeah, flight commander. I remember that was my first POC position, and it was ultimately the most rewarding one I've had. This is what my fifth POC position as a fifth year, and out of all of them, that was the one that really really a mark in me, just because you really realize if you care about your people, they will be more invested in the program, and they're going to do so much better. And you do learn so many things because you're put in so many different scenarios because everybody's lives are so different. I remember I was shout out to Cadet Derek, but he's prior E, and I was like, how am I supposed to lead somebody who has so much more experience over me? And I was freaked out of my mind. I remember I was talking to him through our initial feedback. I'm like, I don't know how to lead you. I really don't. But we worked through it throughout the rest of the semester. But there's just, again, those small little things that you didn't realize you're going to be put in those positions, but then you learn there's certain things I need to figure out. I need to work on my insecurities. I need to work on my confidence so I can still lead people like that. And I related it back this is going to be a perfect scenario when I work with NCOs, because they're going to be people that have years and magnitudes more experience than me, that I'm supposed to lead them. And it's going to be very similar, different, but similar.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh,
absolutely.
Sorry, go ahead. Please.
If I may, sir, yeah, and to both of your points, my first POC semester job was flight commander. Not only was it, bar none, the most enjoyable experience I ever had. It's the reason why I went back to field training to be a CTA. But to your point, you learn so much, and you learn so much so quickly, because not only do you need to lead, mentor, and develop this team of 20 or so GMC cadets that have vastly different lives, vastly different expectations and experiences, and mold them into solid, excellent GMC cadets. But you also have to worry about running an operation, preparing for an operation, and evaluating them in a space where it's fair and just. Because, at the end of the day, I had so much compassion for every person in my flight, and I wanted them to succeed. But we went down to the ranking table, number 1 through 20, when we look at all the squadrons, couldn't be all of my people. And having to learn those hard choices, how to fairly evaluate, how to manage, how to really lead, I think is a pivotal cornerstone as we go on. Because I would not be able to be nearly, as hopefully in my peers' eyes, a successful successful squadron commander as I am now, if it weren't for the experiences and the learning that I was able to get from being a flight commander. So absolutely, to both your points, an extremely important role. And I think it makes the whole ROTC thing really fun, because you get your own team. And for the first time in your ROTC life, you have 16 weeks where you have to lead that team. And their success is directly, there's some smaller factors that you can't directly control, but a large portion of it is directly, how much energy you put in, how much care you put in for their success, and then vice versa as well.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. Bernie. Sorry, go right ahead.
No, you hit on a key part with fun, which we'll talk about a little bit later, but go ahead.
All right, so yeah, I was just going to say, I know flight commander can be scary. And right now we have assistant flight commanders to kind of help people get that leadership experience. But one of the biggest things that people struggle with is like, oh, I want to do all these things during LLAB, but they forget of what makes a successful team is the trust. And I know you talked a lot about having that family aspect within your group, so whoever you're leading. And I think that's foundational for any group. I remember for my flight, that was the biggest thing I always hit on. And it was to the point where at the very end of the semester, we had a cadet who lost his mother, and all of us went to the funeral. And that was, oddly enough, like one of the most bonding experiences I've had, because all of us were there in line and you were just, they're supporting. But if it wasn't for that trust, I don't think none of us would have been there in the first place. But like things like that, like kind of just leave a little memory in your mind. You're like, that was something big. So it truly is something valuable.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely.
Sir, do you want to hit on your topic about fun? I know you were like, we'll talk about it in a bit, but
no, I've got it. We'll come back to it. I got it.
Okay. We'll come back. So this is more on a different scope, but I think culture changes are something really big. It can be something as small as within your element, within your flight, within your group, or even let's say in the wing level within your detachment. But how do you deal with a culture change, even if it's something big? And through your experience, has there ever been a time where you had to lead a culture change? Like, how was that?
Yeah. So obviously that can be very difficult, for sure. So I think part of, we can take this in a couple different directions, right? So one, are you, why are you trying to change a culture, right? Is there something wrong with the culture? Do you have some toxic aspects of your culture that you're trying to change? Are you changing culture just because society has changed? So you're changing that aspect. So why are you trying to change the culture? And I think as a young leader, or even if you're an old leader, I think one of the things that you want to do is to ensure that you're taking input, right, and taking lots of input. So if you're in an organization and you're looking at potentially changing the culture, so one, understanding the why behind it. Why are you trying to change the culture, right? And then based off that, what do your airmen or your guardians, what do they expect out of the culture for that organization, right? Just because you have something in your mind that, okay, the culture has to look like this. Well, are you off the mark at all? Because you might be, right? And if you are, you need to identify that. And the only way you're going to identify that is to get input from the folks that are part of this cultural change with you, right? So whether you're the leader or you're just part of the leadership that is changing the culture, again, you got to get that input from everybody to ensure that you're making the right decisions for the right reasons. So be willing to take that input. And that can be very, very difficult, right? Sometimes it can be very easy, right? Because you can go into an organization and like, ooh, yeah, the culture is bad here. Let's change this, and everyone's like, yeah, absolutely, right? And everybody's on board, and it's easy. And it can be something as simplistic. So when I was a group commander, and I was a group commander in a security forces group, so it's all security forces squadrons, and that were underneath us. And the tradition, if you will, was for holiday parties that you'd have a group holiday party, and there wouldn't be squadron holiday parties. So I'm like, and of course I'm the group commander, so you might think in my mind, well, that's cool, right? I get to host the holiday party for everybody. Well, I had the opportunity to be a squadron commander a number of times, and I was like, as a squadron, I want to do my own holiday party. It's part of my family. That's my squadron, right? I don't need the group to do my holiday party for me, right? So we changed it, right? So we talked to the different squadrons, like, hey, here's kind of what we're thinking, and it may not completely go into a cultural thing, but you can tie it to how the group oversaw the squadrons, right, and what that culture looked like, and I believe that the group didn't need to run like a big squadron because it wasn't fair to the squadrons, especially the squadron leadership, right? They get hired to be squadron commanders and chiefs and ops officers and ops superintendents. They don't need a group commander to be the squadron commander for them, right? So we were able to make that change, and that was easy, right? Everybody was on board. Yeah, absolutely, 100%, right? You may go into to other organizations and the culture is off, but other people don't think it's off, and you may have to work through that. In one of the organizations I was part of, we made a pretty big shift on how we operated, and there's a lot of people that were not on board. So to be able to work through that, we spent a lot of time listening to why they weren't on board. Okay, so we make some adjustments based off that, and then from there, we spent a lot of time explaining the why. So here's why we're getting ready to make these changes. And again, at the end of the day, not everybody agreed, but we got a lot more people on board because we took their initial inputs of why they were hesitant. We made adjustments, and then we went back and we continued to talk about the why behind it. And by doing that, again, we got a majority of the people on board. And the ones that weren't on board, it was okay because they still understood the why. They didn't agree, but they understood the why. And I think that was important as we were making change there also. And at the end of the day, you may not make everybody happy, right? And you got to understand, we're dealing with people. People have different likes, dislikes, wants, goals, needs, whatever it may be. So it's okay. But I think we owe it as leaders to explain the why, especially as we're going to try to introduce change. I think it's really important.
I love how you really hit on the whole resistance aspect because it is there. I remember when Colonel Young came in, you were trying to lead a culture change and there was resistance. It was a little bit rocky. Captain Sledge can attest to this.
Yeah,
we were in the struggle.
It was a tough time. There was some struggles.
And I think it took us basically a year where we are now to kind of see finally those changes that we were trying to strive for, but it took a while. So what you said, you can't make everybody happy, but as long as what you feel is right, you're doing the right thing. I think that's what matters. So thank you for adding that input because it hit home. I think all of us here were like, oh dang. Right. So that was good. Thank you, sir. So awesome. I think moving on to like a similar topic, but how do you transition between different leadership? I know, we had Colonel Williams and now we had Colonel Young and, transitioning through his leadership and now yourself, how you're transitioning from a different region commander. What advice would you have for those that are transitioning different commanders?
So the advice for people that are experiencing having to work for different commanders?
Yes.
Yeah. One expected, right? That's going to happen during your time. Commanders, supervisors, they come and go. We're on the move a lot. So, and you'll be on the move a lot also. So, part of it, one is simply being a good airman or a good guardian, right? If you're good at your job, you're a good tactician. So again, whatever career field you're in, that you're good at what you do, and obviously as a leader, that you're about taking care of your people. Whoever you're working for is going to appreciate that, number one, right? So that makes the transition easier. And then understanding what that new commander that's come in, what their intent is, in the direction that they're going. And hopefully having that opportunity to shape some of that also, right? By talking about, again, the mission sets that you're trying to take care of, the direction that the unit has been going, to be able to have those open and honest discussions, so that new commander can make the determination on which way they want to take the organization. I will tell you, for me, having got the opportunity to command a few times, I am not looking for yes men and women, right? And I find it not overly helpful when you have group think, right? So you come in as a new commander, and oh yeah, absolutely, you're exactly right, sir, 100%. That's the way we should go. Really, like everything I say is right? Nah, I ain't buying it. I'm just not buying it, right? So so having the fortitude, the moral courage to be able to tell the new boss what you think is going on within that organization, right? And that can be hard, right? I don't want to make the new boss mad. I don't want him to think that I'm not a good airman or a good guardian. Yeah, okay, got it. But I would think most leaders want to know the truth of what's going on so they can make a positive impact. I think they want that. Unfortunately, you may run across that one or two that doesn't, and that's really unfortunate if that happens, because it shouldn't. As leaders, again, we want to set the environment that people know that their inputs are valued, even if they disagree. Right? At the end of the day, we're still in the military, and once the final decision's made, we'll be good airmen, good guardians, and we'll salute smartly and move on. But we owe it to our leaders to tell them the truth of what's going on.
Thank you, sir. I greatly appreciate that. I think I guess sort of face, different commanders when we do like our little change of POC positions, and you have a different supervisor and you try to assimilate, because obviously everybody's very different. But I think on a bigger scale, all of us think, oh, things going to be an active duty. People are going to be like so much more serious. But I think we get a little bit over our heads sometimes when we think about the future. But that's sure. I think your points are really great, especially not being simply yes men. And I feel like that is oftentimes a similar thing that happens in ROTC. We're like, yeah, we're all gonna do that whole same thing, but we do need to have those different perspectives as we've talked about. Captain Sledge, how much time do we have left? I know it's already past 7, so I kind of just want to gauge.
How many questions you got?
I mean, we can keep going, but
Colonel, how much time do you have? That's the money. That's where the money is. He's got the bank.
No, I'm okay. We're doing good.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. Cadet Walbro still wanted to do the whole, more of the funner questions to end the podcast.
Let's do it.
So, Cadet Walbro, the floor is yours.
If everybody's all ready, Colonel Grimm, sir, since you're the guest of honor, I'm going to ask you the first would you rather, sir. You ready?
Okay. Yeah,
let's
do it.
So we'll start it off a little bit easy. Colonel Grimm, sir, would you rather be in the Thanksgiving Day parade? And if so, what would you want to do? Or would you want to be one of the hosts commenting on the parade?
That's interesting. So I'm going to make a correlation, if that's cool. So
yes,
to answer the question, I'm cool with being in the parade, but with a caveat. So when I was stationed at F.E. Warren in Cheyenne, Wyoming, every year they have what's called Frontier Days. And
the daddy of them all. I love that rodeo. Yes, sir.
Yep, there you go. And every year, the Security Forces Group and the 90th Missile Wing, we would march in the parade. So, for the Security Forces Group, we'd have, I don't know, probably 100, 150 airmen, and we'd go, looking all sharp in our uniforms and our berets, and we would march, and it was really cool to see the reaction of the crowd, right? So, they have all the other, entities that are part of the parade also, but when the military units would come through, I mean, the crowd would just get electric, right? And I loved it. Absolutely loved being part of that. But I want to be part of it with my airmen, right?
Okay. Yes,
so
sir.
not me just bebopping by myself. But
that's good. I like that. Yes, sir.
But to be part of a military formation in that parade, oh yeah, sign me up.
That's awesome.
Sign me up.
Did you have to refresh on some of your drill and ceremony skills for those parades, sir?
Yes.
That's awesome. It does come back.
Absolutely.
Everybody, DNC is important.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I agree on that one, sir. I got a good commentator voice, but if I could be back with the Honor Guard, Air Force Honor Guard, out there doing that thing out there in DC, man, yeah, I'd go. No problem.
Absolutely.
No problem. I don't care what how cold it was. It was cool being out there with them. That was it.
Yep.
That was it, man. Good feeling.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. All right, Captain Sledge. Sir, the next one's going to be for you. This one's going to be a fun one. Would you rather eat a Thanksgiving meal with just your hands, the whole thing, hands only, or have to open your Christmas presents using a fork? And sir, I know you have little kids, so we're gonna have to say that the whole family has to use the fork to open the presents to put a little bit more skin in the game. That's going to be a long time.
Yeah. It's going to be a while, but especially if you have those weird wrappings, the ones that are very hard to crack open, you got to use a fork to pivot through them. I don't know about all that, man. Maybe I just won't buy them a Walkman. A lot of y'all don't know what a Walkman is, that or a CD player. You don't know what that is. That's okay. But trying to get through them is rough. So I would probably go ahead and I got Thanksgiving with my hand. I'm going to go ahead and do that. Look crazy for a little bit. But I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna be all right.
Okay.
The mac and the mashed potatoes are just gonna have to take a sacrifice this year. They have to take the L because I'm not. You can keep the fork.
All right, sir. That's a good answer. I was thinking that's gonna be the one that you're gonna go with. So I'm glad I was right. Kept by Estero, so you're up next. We'll go around the circle a few more times.
I'm just gonna throw out. I remember when Walkmans came out. Just saying.
Skip proof and all this. Well, that was CDs, but
my dad had a Walkman when he was an airman, and he used to talk fondly about it. He actually bought one not a few years back. I want to say probably about 10 years back to use when he goes jogging. It's still around the house. I don't know if he uses it anymore, but I do know what it is. But that's only thanks to my dad. All right, Kept by Estero. So you ready? I think this one's going to be an interesting thing for you. Okay. Would you rather spend Thanksgiving in New York City or on a farm?
I've never been to New York City, and I feel like not a lot of people would go on Thanksgiving, or maybe that's just my reasoning, but I feel like people would go mostly there for, let's say, New Year's, but I don't think Thanksgiving. I would say a farm. I feel like that would be the most family-oriented, because if I think about it, like, my family in Mexico has a farm, and, I can have my whole, family, because you just said a farm, so I'm going to assume it's going to be my family.
I was actually going to add a farm in Mexico, but you did it for me, so thanks.
Yes, because I feel like I have nobody in New York, so I wouldn't be able to relate.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, we all know me. I would 100% choose the farm. So
absolutely.
I'm glad to know you're coming with. That's awesome. All right.
Indeed.
Give me 1 second. There was one that I found. Oh, okay. All right. Colonel Grimm, sir, I don't know what your athletic skills look like. I don't know what your singing skills look like. So this is
I'm not singing. I am not singing nothing. I'll tell you that right now.
Okay. So the question was going to be, I'll find another one, but the question was going to be, would you rather play in an NFL football game with the football skills you have now, or sing the Macy's Day Thanksgiving Parade with the singing abilities you have now?
Football every day.
Okay.
You all know that.
All right.
At least you guys would get a giggle watching me get cracked out on the football field, right? Oh man, he just got crushed, right? You get a good laugh at that. I
singing it just be embarrassing.
I just straight up hurt your ears. You'd be like, oh my god, shut that, turn the volume off. That's horrible, horrible. Oh, yeah, you don't want me singing nothing. So, and it's funny. So it's part of ROTC. Obviously everybody's got to learn the Air Force song, and then you have cadets got to sing the Air Force song. To me, that is the worst thing that we do. Is when somebody's got to sing by themselves in front of everybody.
I was terrified.
I can talk. I have no problems with public speaking. You put me in front of 1,000 people, I have no problems. You have me singing in front of 2 people, I'm a wreck. Not doing it. Not doing it.
The ORI days when they would ask you for word knowledge, sing the Air Force song, and you're like,
oh no,
that's horrible.
That's horrible. Like, I want to be here.
At least at field training, we got to do it all together, right? Numb the pain a little bit.
Yeah.
All right, sir, since that one was a quick and easy one, I'm going to give you a little bit harder one.
Okay.
So, would you rather invite a famous person to join your family's dinner or be the one person invited to join a famous person's family dinner? If so, who would that person be? If you got somebody on the top of your mind.
Wow. So yeah, I would love to have. I'd like to invite somebody to come have dinner. I would love to sit down with Colin Powell.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to pick his brains. Obviously, his time in the military, all the way up to being the chairman. His time during Desert Storm. Obviously, I mean, you go back all the way to Vietnam with him, but then when Desert Storm kicked off, but then to be able to transition to the time, when he was the secretary, and what that was like, and why he never ran for president. I want to ask him that. Why did you? I think he's answered that in some interviews. That it just wasn't for him. It wasn't for his family. But I'd love to have that one-on-one. Like, why didn't you run for president, man? We really could have. I would love
between me and you. Come on, we know.
Yeah, we need you.
You can tell me.
Yeah. Give me the lowdown. Give me the truth behind it. So,
sir, stop stuffing your face with that mashed potatoes. I know it's great, but I need an answer. This is for me.
Colin Powell. I would love to. I'd love to sit down with Colin Powell for sure.
Awesome, thank you, sir. All right, Captain Sledge, you're up next. We're going to talk about the large table that you would have to set again for, obviously, sir, your quite magnificent family. So here's the question. Would you rather not get passed food during Thanksgiving dinner or constantly be passing food for other people during dinner?
Man, look, that food's got to come around. It's got to come around. I cannot, because once I sit down, it's over. It's over. I'm not servicing anyone. You're gonna have to pass. So I would make it happen with that fork I was supposed to be using my presents for, using for the presents. Yeah, I'm gonna use that fork to like multitask, and while I'm passing food around with my left, right? I gotta go. Okay. So you got my answer on that one. I guess we're just gonna be a passing family because I gotta have it.
One arm for passing, one arm for eating. That's how we're doing.
That's what we're doing all night. Okay, I'll take it.
Okay, sir.
That's all how we're rolling.
Cadet Ballesteros. Yes. Would you rather do a potluck Thanksgiving dinner and end up with everyone bringing stuff, or end up with everyone bringing mashed potatoes? We all know how mashed potato. Captain Sledge's face lit up for that one. I think we know what his answer would be. Mashed potatoes are a delicacy of Thanksgiving. I know that's my favorite food, as long as there's gravy. But I'm curious to get your perspective on that one.
So either different food versus just mashed potatoes, right?
I'm sorry. It said everyone bringing stuffing or everyone bringing mashed potatoes.
Oh, so either that changes it. That changes it.
Thanks for listening to our podcast. We'll be right back.
If you're a prospective cadet interested in joining Air Force ROTC at UNLV, please register for spring 2024 before the deadline of December 17th. For more information, please visit www.unlv.edu/AFROTC/join. Again, that's www.unlv.edu/AFROTC/join. We can't wait to meet you. Attention current Det 4 cadets. Air Force ROTC Honor Guard showcases an elite league. Become a part of a distinguished tradition showcasing precision, discipline, and patriotism. Elevate your skills through ceremonial performances, embodying excellence at every step. Develop leadership, teamwork, and an unwavering dedication while honoring our nation's values. Experience unparalleled training from seasoned professionals, mastering drill and ceremonies to represent the highest standards of the Air Force. If you are interested in joining the ranks of the best, please contact Cadet Davison or Cadet Stevens.
You are listening to Hypercast. Here comes the next segment.
All right. Tell you what, while we're waiting for Colonel Grimm to come back online, we're going to keep it alive. So, Captain Sledge, would you rather eat raw pumpkin or raw cranberries for Thanksgiving?
Oh man, I'm going with the cranberries all day.
Okay.
All day. I love cranberry sauce. It's delicious. I can't just go open up a pumpkin and just start going in on it. I can't. It reminds me of squash. I can't do that. They're related. So, I'm going cranberries all day. I can go with the bitter. I'm good with that all day.
Okay. All right, Cadet Ballesteros, would you rather take an expensive Thanksgiving vacation or eat an expensive Thanksgiving dinner? I'm talking like the greatest Thanksgiving dinner you could possibly imagine that money could buy for free, or an expensive vacation.
Would I be able to bring people on the vacation?
Yeah, you can. We'll tell you what. You can include your immediate family on the vacation.
On the vacation, I feel like that would be so fun.
You said the food's not that good.
You can bring the whole family. Like, you won't have to worry about washing the dishes or doing all the prep, and you can just enjoy a vacation. And if it's free, even better. I feel like that would be so good.
That is true. That does sound good. I'd agree with you. I would agree with you on that one. Thanksgiving dinner is good. It's super nice to have it, but I don't know if it's that good.
Yeah, I mean, if it's a free vacation.
That is true. Colonel Grimm, you want to go ahead and give us a try?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. We got you back.
Sorry.
All right, here we go.
No
Story time.
Oh, the tradition. So in our family, it is tradition every Thanksgiving morning. It's my immediate family. We have pumpkin pie for breakfast. Every single
My
year.
mom will do the same thing.
That's awesome.
That's how we start off Thanksgiving Day. With pumpkin
Now, Colonel
pie.
Grimm, are you guys making your own pumpkin pie, sir? Or are you going to get the big one from Costco? Or
Yeah, Costco's all right.
Yeah, no. So my wife normally makes. You don't want me making nothing. I mean, I might be able to make some ramen noodles to add in, but that's about it. So yeah. My wife makes it. It's awesome.
That's awesome. Super cool. All right, so we're going to ask you one more question, and then we'll go ahead and flex on to the next thing. Sound good, Captain Sledge?
Yes, sir.
All right, Colonel Grimm, for the last question of the night, would you rather burn your turkey but have an otherwise perfect Thanksgiving meal? Everything else is phenomenal. It's perfect. Or burn everything except keep the turkey, which is absolutely perfect?
Burn the turkey every time.
Burn the turkey. All right.
Yeah.
You already know. I'm going to tell you. I mean, you're going to know why, because I got to have pumpkin pie. Got to. You can't be burning the pumpkin pie. So,
yeah.
Right.
I mean, all the sides all messed up. The mac is gone. The mash is gone. Man, you would get cussed out until next Thanksgiving. Like,
absolutely.
How the heck did you do that?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, no.
Got to have
we
already talked about the mashed potatoes. You got to have rolls. You got to have all that. No, you got to have all that.
I would argue that the sides do make the meal for Thanksgiving. I think whatever your choice of meat is, because I know a lot of people do steak or even fish sometimes. There's going to be that staple meat. For most, it's turkey. For others, it's a nice ribeye or maybe a tomahawk or something. But I think what truly makes a great Thanksgiving meal is the sides. I will argue.
Absolutely.
All right.
Yeah. Remember that time where Cadet Walbro burned the turkey? See, nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
But he's saying, remember that time? Who the hell burned? Yeah, see, yeah. Nope. So there you go. I agree.
Awesome.
It makes sense. So we're going with the turkey. We'll burn that and we'll eat that.
Sounds good. All right, Colonel Grimm, on your tab of fun, sir, if you'd like to finish us off with that story, and then Captain Sledge, you can go ahead and take us out of here.
Absolutely. So, I mentioned this, I think earlier today when we had our question and answer thing. There's 4 priorities that I always have tried to incorporate in whatever unit I was in, and it's training, communication, family, and fun. Right, and we've kind of touched on all of those today as we've done this podcast thing. Again, I can't stress enough the importance of training. We got to be really, really good at what we do. We have adversaries out there that hope that we don't take training serious and that we're not really good at what we do. And when things get hard, when they get stressful, dangerous, you're going to fall back on whatever your training is. So it's got to be rock solid training. It's got to be hard, realistic training. Again, so we build the best airmen and the best guardians that we can. In order for an organization to get better, I think you have to have open communication up and down the chain of command, lateral, and everyone has to know that their input matters and is valued. and that's going to help us get better as an organization. It doesn't mean that everyone's always going to be happy that we go a certain direction. But again, as we talked about the why behind stuff, making sure that we take the time to explain the why, especially after we've gleaned all the inputs from everybody throughout the organization that we can. It's all about the family. It's about taking care of each other and setting that environment where folks know that the unit that you're in is a family and that we're here for each other. We're going to work through the hard times. We're going to be there for each other during the hard times. And we're also going to be there, during the good times also. And when it's family, it's obviously the service members, but it's also spouses, kids, boyfriends, girlfriends, parents, whatever it may be. They need to be part of the overall family, overall part of the organization, to be part of that family. And then the last part is fun. So if you think about it, do you want to be part of a profession over a long period of time and never have any fun?
Absolutely not.
That it's just not fun for you?
Part of it.
Yeah. Why would you stay part of that organization, right? And I would tell my cadets, and I would tell my airmen on active duty, if you're not having fun, this is not for you. It's okay, right? Go find what makes you happy, right? What we hope is that folks that come into ROTC or come into the Air Force or Space Force, that they find a family, right? They find a sense of purpose, and that they're having a lot of fun while they do it. And I think it's up to us as leaders to set that environment also. We mentioned before, my bio and all that stuff. I've been very fortunate to be stationed all over the world. I've been deployed in some not garden spots, and even in those areas, we still had a lot of fun. We were locked on, and we took care of the mission, obviously, but we had a lot of fun while we did it. And I think it's important to have fun in what you're doing, and as a leader, to let people know that it's okay to have fun. Again, that's how you're going to retain folks, right? Because if you're not having fun, then they're not going to stick around. They're just not. And why would they stick around? Why would you want them to stick around, right? So I think it's really important to incorporate fun in what we do, right? Again, I look back at my time in ROTC, and I have lifelong friends from ROTC, and we had a lot of fun. And I look very fondly back at my last 28 and a half years, and while not every single day was fun, there's bad days, obviously. But man, I've had a lot of fun over the last 28 and a half years. And I've always said the day I stop having fun, I'm done. I'm out. So I think having fun is very, very healthy for an organization. Absolutely. So yeah, that was it on the fun part.
And to that point, sir, I'd also argue that if you have fun and if you enjoy what you're doing and the environment of which you're working in is enjoyable and fun, it instills a sense of purpose in you and a want for excellency in you. Because I mean, if I'm a GMC cadet, or even if I'm a flight commander and I don't feel empowered or enjoy what I'm doing in what's supposed to be the most enjoyable POC job, why am I going to want to be good at it? Why am I, as a GMC cadet, going to want to, apply myself and get good at these competencies? Like it's easy to understand that they're important, and it's easy to understand that these things are necessary, but it's hard to apply yourself to them and be as excellent as you can possibly be without the enjoyment factor.
Yep. Well said. Awesome. Back over to you guys.
All right. Cool. So with that being said, again, Colonel Grimm, appreciate you, taking your time. I know you're a busy person, got some big Colonel things to do. Again, we appreciate you coming and sitting down with R.E.D Alert. And that's the team that's actually delivering the news and hopefully the information that the Southwest region is looking for, as well as Det 4, the Rebel Nation. This information is going to literally go into the Spotify, go into the YouTube channels for your viewing, listening pleasure, as well as the cadet wings, so they can get your perspective. Lastly, I just wanted to kind of leave off with a note that I think is important for everybody to go off of, and that's just the importance of resiliency and what we have to go through in order to get to where we're going. That goal to the second lieutenant. I know we talked about a lot of things, fun and things like that. Challenges and resiliency. I definitely would want to just bring out the fact that how important that is as we pivot through this journey, and as well as your journey as well, sir, as the Southwest Region Commander. There is definitely a level of resiliency that you have to have that we don't realize, right? We don't see you every day. We don't know the decisions that you make every single day that, pivot us to the direction that we need to go. But I know that it's tough up there. I know there's some things that we just don't understand, and we shouldn't, right? And there's some that we don't need to know. But again, I just wanted to throw out the appreciation of the hard work that y'all do up there. To keep the boat steering in the right direction, regardless if we know it or not. We try our best as cadre to kind of filter that out to the cadets so they can kind of understand a little bit more. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But just know that we understand you, on that level, and we will, like you mentioned before, we will salute sharply and we will go. Although the decisions that are made are probably not popular. You probably don't even agree with them, right? But we gotta do our thing. So again, a lot of the stuff that you had mentioned before, alludes to that, and we definitely appreciate the fact that you were able to just sit down and kind of talk to us about some of the basic experiences that you had over the last 3 decades. So it's very important that the cadets get to know that. So with that being said, we're good to go. So we'll go ahead and check out here. Just if everybody could just stay for a second to make sure everything uploads properly so that Canales doesn't lose any of our data, and we will go from there. Cool?
Sir.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
Thanks again, sir.
Absolutely.
Yep.